My name is Patricia McMahon, and I'm going to read two poems. The first one is published in The Enchantment of the Ordinary by Mutabilis Press. The poem is called The Cure for Sorrow is Salt. I read this somewhere. I think it's actually a Scandinavian adage. The cure for sorrow is salt, tears, or the sea. And it's one of those things we all do, stuck it on a Post-it, wondered what to do with it, and this anthology led to this poem. It's in 5 sections. The cure for sorrow is salt. 1. The blue enamel pot sits large on the stove. The recipe demands 1 pinch of salt. These days I ignore truths I'm told. In goes a handful, and anything green that might season this soup, which will simmer in the hope that anyone might share this meal with me tonight. Yes, I know I'm lying. I talk to you though you cannot listen, and cook as if there was any possibility you might arrive. I ignore facts as I chop to music. 2. Snow falls outside my window. Barehanded, I drag logs to the fireplace, leaving a splinter deep into my open palm. One grandmother would have said, "Leave it in place, it'll do you no harm." The other would shake salt over the end. Salt draws out what needs to go. And why could you not have been left in place to walk in this door where the too salty soup waits for you? 3. I drove down Cobb's Lane, by the purple house with gold shutters, always ready for Mardi Gras. That was your line. I forget my line. A dog ran by. No, it did not run exactly. He pulled himself along in shock. I'd never before seen an animal I knew was dying. Funny how you know when you know. Only a car could have done this to him. Others chased after the good people who rise to the occasion. I used to rise to the occasion. Was it the truck salting the road ahead which hit him? 4. On Sunday, I try a church where someone who believes might comfort me with her knowledge of the afterlife. This morning's gospel tells of Lot's wife. 5. Egyptians used salt to preserve their mummies. Slaves were traded for the grains or not, if not worth their salt. Small wars were fought over it, and I taste it again and again. I didn't really think these poems were connected, but I realized they are. That in The Cure for Sorrow is Salt, I was trying to write about how grief utterly dislocates you. It appears to be normal life, but it's not. You don't know how to live in that space anymore. And I think this poem is actually about why grief is so hard. It's called, I read this line in a poem by Robert Creeley. The poem was called Memory. And the line was, "Did wonder pour down on the whole goddamn town?" And I just had to use that line. So the name of this poem is, Did Wonder Pour Down on the Whole Goddamn Town? No. That afternoon, the park was full of the all of us, some spinning on the tilted turner, a bit of kissing in corners, while on the broken table, tipping into the sparse grass, I stood declaiming glorious nonsense to fellow fools, for I believed it would show me the way away from home. Over in a corner, you winked, so I turned to say more in another direction. You circled, pointed. I had no idea who was in the mirror, so what were you looking at? I ran hard from these streets where everyone tried to tell me the wrong story. You seemed to turn up on corners. I sought someone who would declaim sagas in a faded canvas tent. I knew not where or when. You said, beware men who declaim sagas in tents. I wanted a craggy man who sailed far enough to sea for me to smell the salt all over his body. You handed me a fishing rod. I tried the man in a van driving around the desert performing Punch and Judy shows. You asked, who is there to watch puppet shows in the desert? You might have said, beware the green puppet. You gave me a faded canvas tent. You said I was a show you could watch for years, until that one night in those same old streets, what I thought was a ballet dancer leaping alone in the misty air under a streetlight was the last flutter of your heart.
I'm D.E. Zuccone, and I'm going to read Megabus Ode from Enchantment of the Ordinary, published by Mutabilis Press. Megabus Ode. Let's begin by refusing to write rumble, slowly lumbering, staggering on, as if a bus is a fairy tale monster. My canvas carry-on is designed to pack blank metaphors. See, a turquoise shirt stretched too taut over a pale stomach. A parking lot with a contrived house barely big enough for some lucky dog to get to sleep under a tent construed of an abandoned stroller top and plastic drop cloths, all tied to a stolen Kroger cart. We know, but we don't want to see. 3 doors open at once. Megabus. Bus of buses. A word cobbled of half words. 115 numbered seats. I have reserved 5A, directly above the driver. Above me, a personal shade for vision's rest. Or I can choose to blink and squint into the interstate of a western sunset. So many cars hurt me to keep in mind. Each one is driven by another tired soul just as lost as mine. Not a caduceus writhing over concrete, or a crimson river weeping memory, not 5 days of a washing week without even an apology to take home. I have a paper bag of tea cakes on my lap, riding, and 114 sporadic corpses coughing and mumbling behind me, the single direction I can't see. Fleeting past polo stables and empty field mow evening gold, the way the rich imagined they would make the world if we would sell it to them. The mason jar and Specs Liquor warehouse parking lots crowd as the nearby office garage barriers rise and drop. Friday turns violet. Megabus and I pass a used Cadillac lot. Teacher Heaven, Earthman Funeral Home, its windows generously dark to our speeding invisibility. The passenger beside me pulls off a gray cotton sweater. On his shoulder, he has tattooed a hooded chartreuse devil proffering a red nose or a rose from a swirling of an oriental cloud. A kettle of vultures drift above the First Baptist sign, the price of forgiveness. Let's end by refusing to declare anything like I'm here or I arrive. The next poem I want to read is from Vanishes, which is published by Mutabilis Press. Clowns in the car. Clowns in the car, the place they're not supposed to exist, but they've practiced disappearing at odd angles of rear view mirrors. Disappearing one white-faced clown as another returns, twisting balloons into dogs. It's only squeaky distraction. Don't believe that clowns wear makeup the same as we wear clothes. Widow's weeds, overalls, dancing shoes display spirits in our bodies. Mother's fur, Mr. Bolosky's blue tuxedo at the wedding reception are fun masquerades. Clowns rub away their faces, strut around disguised as Perio or Auguste or a tramp. But even that won't be enough disappearance. Drums, clarinets, and glockenspiels imply a world even twisted for enchanted worlds. Laughter. Children scream or pee their pants or both. Painted eyes, kicks, slapsticks, yanking out each other's chairs, swollen hands and white gloves swinging pails that always spill. Their silence is the complicit finger to the lips. Another gag. You know the routine. You've woken up at the circus again. There's a balking donkey being yanked and shoved. Clowns offer gifts, squirting flowers, a bucket of confetti, exploding dogs.